Today on Steelers Talk, the latest on the Steelers quarterback situation, and one of either Russell Wilson or Justin Fields is starting to pull away as we approach training camp for the Steelers in Latrobe. We'll go over that first up today. Then we'll get into Cam Hayward, and there's a Steelers insider that believes that the Steelers are taking advantage of Hayward in contract negotiations this offseason. I'll let you guys know my thoughts later in today's show, so make sure you guys stick around. But before we get into today's content, we are going live 3 other times over the next 7 days, and that's going to be tomorrow, Wednesday at 4:30 p.m. Eastern Time for Steelers Talk Live. We're also going to be having our Madden Sim for the Jets game, Sunday Night Football. Then we'll go live again on Friday, again same time, 4:30 p.m. Eastern. We're going to have the Monday Night Football stream for the Steelers versus Giants. Then we get into Paul Skeens Live, our second Paul Skeens watch party of the week. We had one last night. It was a lot of fun. Now the Pirates are going to be going up against the Rays at PNC Park on Sunday. We're going to be going live at 1 p.m. Eastern, so make sure you guys join us for all of our live streams this week, and make sure you click that subscribe button and turn on your notifications so you get those notifications whenever we go live here on the channel. Okay, let's get into the quarterback situation here, where the Athletics' Mark Kaboly says that Russell Wilson is firmly ahead of Justin Fields to be Pittsburgh's #1 quarterback, their starting QB for the 2024 season. This is what Kaboly had to say about Russ this offseason. Wilson did nothing through 12 practices to even slightly indicate he could lose the QB competition to Justin Fields. The work ethic, the experience, the arm talent, and the fact he basically took all of the first-team snaps strongly suggests nothing Wilson can do between July 24th and September 8th would prevent him from starting. You couldn't have asked for much more out of Wilson during OTAs and minicamp, on the field and off it. His leadership is more than noticeable, and that's been true since the first day he showed up. What stood out was his arm talent, whether it was a throw in the flat, at the goal line, or down the field. And listen, guys, in my opinion, this isn't even a competition. You guys know that I think this is Russell Wilson's job until he loses it, and I absolutely believe that Russ is going to be the guy starting for the Pittsburgh Steelers as we approach the 2024 campaign. And I think Justin Fields is a pretty decent backup option and a good plan B, but Russell Wilson is the starting quarterback of this football team, and he's going to retain that title until he loses it. And this goes with other reports going around right now that Justin Fields struggled at OTAs, at least to some degree, at least to a greater degree than Russ did. Brian Batko from the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette said that Fields' lack of mental processing was on display during Steelers OTAs this year. This is what Batko had to say on a recent Q&A. I'm not pulling too much stock into OTAs and minicamp work, but I do see a guy who needs to get more comfortable reading NFL defenses and improve as a passer. And then along with these mental processing issues, I'll also put ball placement on the list of things that Fields still needs to improve on here as he approaches his 4th NFL season here. And, in my opinion, when I watch Justin Fields throw, he's got some aspects of his throwing motion that are very clean and very crisp, but then there's other aspects of his throwing motion that, he has a little bit of a hitch in his motion, and that with his elbow getting as high as it does, it's not as smooth as some of the other passers in the National Football League today, including Russell Wilson, who has a very smooth throwing motion. So Justin is always somebody that has struggled with precise ball placement, especially to the short and intermediate parts of the field. And when you pair that with the mental processing issues that he's put on display to this point in his career, I don't think this competition, if you want to call it that, is really even close. Russell Wilson is far ahead at this point in time. And when it comes to Justin Fields, it's not like I don't like him, all right? It's not like I'm not happy that the Steelers went out and got him after Kenny Pickett demanded to be traded out of here. I think he's a really good backup option. If Russ gets hurt, I love that you have Justin Fields as a great rushing quarterback option to come in and try to save the season in that regard. Plus, he's a high upside guy if Russell Wilson doesn't work out. You give Justin a chance to prove himself at the end of the season. All that's fine and good, but I don't see him as a legit competitor to be the starting quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers, at least not in Week 1. Now, predict it for me down there in the comments section. Will Russell Wilson start all 17 games this year for the Pittsburgh Steelers, barring injury? Predict it for me with a yes or no for today's pinned comment. YouTube's going to throw you an ad break here in just a couple of seconds. When that happens, take advantage of that time by giving me a yes or a no down there in the comments. So speaking of Mark Kaboly here, not only did he comment about Russell Wilson and the QB competition, but he also commented on the Cam Hayward contract negotiations, and he believes the Steelers are quote-unquote taking advantage of Cam in these contract negotiations. This is what Mark had to say. I think what they're trying to do is take advantage of his loyalty. Honestly, that's what I truly believe is, quote, okay, let's see what you can do this year. We knew you'll sign back this year. You don't want to go anywhere else. So we'll save our rear ends here of any risk, and we know you'll sign back next year. And of course, this comes after Cam Hayward kind of told him in an article or this weekend that he might even consider going to play for the Browns if he can't get a deal done with the Pittsburgh Steelers. But then Cam on his Twitter this weekend on Father's Day, Sunday to be exact, said the goal is to be a Steeler for the rest of my career. Anyways, on a more important note, happy Father's Day, y'all. So Cam wants to be here in Pittsburgh, but it certainly seems like if the Steelers aren't willing to give him the money that he wants, he's more than willing to go elsewhere. We break it all down in an at-home video I did this weekend where I talk about what he said to Mark Kaboly here and his possibility of potentially even going to the Cleveland Browns. Pretty interesting stuff there. So if you want to see everything that we broke down on Saturday, make sure you check out Saturday's video. After today's video, I'll put the link to that in the comments and description of today's show. Now, I don't think the Steelers are necessarily taking advantage of Cam. I think that language is a little bit strong here from Mark, at least for my taste here, because there are contingencies here where the Steelers, maybe it doesn't make sense to bring back Cam Hayward for the 2025 season after the final year expires here. What if Keanu Benson becomes a straight-up star player, right? And you have that future three-technique star player to replace Cam Hayward in the future. If that happens, maybe it makes sense to save some money and maybe spend some of that money you could be spending on Cam Hayward on the offensive side of the ball. Maybe spend that money on Russell Wilson on an extension if he has a good season. Maybe go out and get another receiver. If Keanu Benson really has a great season, it sounds like he's going to, maybe it makes sense to let the then 36-year-old Hayward hit free agency. Also, what if Cam gets hurt again? You don't want to give Cam a big 2-year extension and then for him to have another big injury and then, you're stuck paying him the money that you have to pay him over the next 2 years. And then also, what if his production dips? What if that groin injury that he suffered last season kind of carries over into this year as well, and he's just not as good of a player as what you'd be paying him to be at that point in time? So there's definitely risks to signing Cam Hayward, especially to a top 5 defensive tackle contract, coming off that groin injury, going into his age 35 season. Now, if I'm the Pittsburgh Steelers, this is what I'm doing, and I think this is what the Steelers are doing right now. I would have a number that I would feel comfortable with signing a 2-year extension with Cam, giving him that 2 years that he wants, but I'd have a number that I'd be willing to pay him right now. And if he's not willing to take that, perfectly fine. No hard feelings about that. If Cam wants to get top 5 defensive tackle money, what I'm saying right now is that he's going to have to earn it here in 2024. And then next offseason, when he becomes a free agent, that Cam wants to finish his career here in Pittsburgh. He's going to be open to negotiating a new contract here. If he has another stellar season, I'd be perfectly fine bringing him back in that scenario. So listen, man, I'm not sure if a deal is going to get done for the Pittsburgh Steelers here in Cam Hayward before the season starts. I think that, like I said, the Steelers are going to have their number that they're willing to pay him, and I don't think Cam at this point is going to be willing to accept that offer. So I think Cam will go into this final year not under contract for future seasons, and he will become a free agent in 2025. Now, what's going to happen? Let me know down there in the comments section. Will Cam Hayward sign an extension this offseason? Let me know down there in the comments section what you guys think about Cam Hayward. All right, and then in other news here around the AFC North, the AFC North is going to be featured on HBO's Hard Knocks this year. So, of course, it's going to be all 4 teams, the Ravens, the Bengals, the Browns, and the Steelers, all featured on the in-season version of Hard Knocks over the last 6 weeks of the 2024 NFL season towards that playoff push. It's going to be very interesting. It's going to premiere on December 3rd. All right, we might even consider doing maybe live reactions or something like that on the show. It's a really cool opportunity to be a part of this first in-season version of Hard Knocks where it covers an entire division. And honestly, guys, it's the best division to do it because, every single team in this division, the Browns, Ravens, Bengals, and Steelers are all teams that could potentially make the playoffs this year. So in terms of the games that Hard Knocks will be covering for the Pittsburgh Steelers in the regular season. It's going to go from week 13 all the way to week 18. So you're going to get Cincy twice, week 13 and 18. The Browns in week 14, the Eagles in week 15, the Ravens in week 16, and then, of course, the Christmas Day matchup against the Kansas City Chiefs in week 17. And, I see a lot of people complaining about this, and, people can feel about this the way that they want. But personally, I'm excited for this. As a fan of the Pittsburgh Steelers, I think this is a really cool opportunity for this fan base to kind of experience this. Obviously, the Steelers quarterback situation could get pretty interesting around this time of year. I expect that the standings in the AFC North will be very tight. There's going to be lots of great storylines. But I also think that this gives the Steelers an advantage because Mike Tomlin is the type of head coach that's going to be able to keep this team focused throughout the entirety of this Hard Knocks run. And other teams with lesser head coaches, those teams might get a little bit distracted. So down the stretch here, if it's close, I think the Steelers have a little bit of an advantage here because Mike Tomlin is so good at keeping the focus and keeping everybody bought into the culture here in Pittsburgh. Not to mention here, if the Steelers make the playoffs, Hard Knocks is going to be covering that as well. And if they make a deep playoff run, you're going to have a behind-the-curtain look of Russell Wilson, Mike Tomlin, all these guys on their deep playoff run here in Pittsburgh. And that would be really, really cool for Steelers fans to experience, especially if they get particularly far in the postseason this year. Now, let me know down there in the comment section, are you excited and do you like that the Pittsburgh Steelers will be on HBO's Hard Knocks this year? Type L if you like it, or type D if you dislike it. Honestly, guys, you can feel the way that you want about this. I mean, it's kind of a subjective choice here, but let me know down there in the comment section how you feel about it. Now, before I go here, let's have a little bit of a laugh here on Steelers Talk because the Baltimore Ravens released their brand new alternate helmet, and it is freaking hilarious, all right? Just take a look at this garbage, man. This thing looks like a UFL, Canadian League, Mickey Mouse Club type of alternate helmet with the candy purple and the ridiculous yellow on there. I mean, I think it speaks for itself, guys. I laughed pretty darn hard when I thought this was a joke. I thought this was like an edit from like a fan that thought it would be cool. But no, this is the actual helmets that Baltimore is going to be wearing for one game this season. I think you can pretty much chalk that game up to a loss if you're a Baltimore fan. Okay, guys, just a little bit of a reminder. We are going live for Steelers Talk Live Wednesday and Friday at 4:30 p.m. Eastern this week. Then we have another Paul Skeens watch party on Sunday. We're going to be going live at 1 p.m. Eastern for that one. That'll be it for today's show, guys. Thanks for sticking with me here. I know it's a little bit of a longer video today, but I appreciate you sticking with me. Make sure you click that subscribe button right now if you haven't already for more Steelers news and rumors content all throughout the 2024 offseason.